Laura's heart drops like a stone when Birkan finally admits the truth, his voice barely above a whisper, eyes darting everywhere but at her. $50,000. That's the number that hangs in the air, heavier than the humid Istanbul night pressing in through the hotel window. Laura's mind races, replaying every sweet message, every promise, every little moment that led her here, and now all she can see is the number, the debt, and the way Birkan's hands fidget with his phone as if he's itching for another bet. She asks him, point blank, where did the money go? And he shrugs, almost casual, like he's talking about losing a few bucks on a scratch-off, not blowing through her Valentine's Day gift in a single afternoon at the casino. The silence between them is thick, broken only by the distant sound of traffic and Laura's shaky breath as she tries to process what she's hearing. She wants to scream, to cry, to run, but all she manages is a stunned why. And Birkan, ever the smooth talker, launches into a rambling story about bad luck, about fate, about how he's always one win away from turning it all around. He says he didn't mean to hurt her, that he thought he could double the money and surprise her, but the words sound hollow, practiced, like he said them before to someone else. The room feels smaller now, the walls closing in as Laura's mind flashes back to the first time she met Birkan. It was all butterflies and late-night texts, the thrill of a new connection that felt like destiny. She remembers the way he made her laugh, the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the world, and how quickly she let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. She remembers telling her friends about him, the way they raised their eyebrows, but smiled anyway, wanting her to be happy. She remembers the first time he called her special, the first time he said he loved her, and how she tucked away every doubt because she wanted so badly for it to be real. Now, sitting on the edge of the bed, she wonders if any of it was real, or if she's been falling for a fantasy spun by a man who knows exactly what to say to keep her hooked. Birkan tries to close the distance, reaching for her hand, but Laura pulls away, her trust shattered in an instant. She asks him if there's anything else he's hiding, and he hesitates, just for a second, before shaking his head. The hesitation is all she needs to know there's more, always more, lurking beneath the surface. The audience at home can feel the tension, the disbelief, the urge to shout at the screen and warn her to run, but Laura sits frozen, caught between heartbreak and hope, not ready to let go of the dream just yet. If you think this is the worst secret Birkan's hiding, you're in for a wild ride. Because Laura's about to learn that when it comes to love and lies, the stakes are always higher than you think. Laura sits alone, staring at the city lights, replaying every warning sign she brushed aside. She remembers the missed calls, the vague answers about money, the way Birkan always seemed to have a new story when she asked about his job. She thinks about the time he borrowed cash for emergencies and never mentioned it again. The way he'd disappear for hours and come back with a smile and a gift, as if that erased the worry. She knows these are red flags, her friends have pointed them out, her gut has whispered them in the quiet moments, but every time, her heart finds a reason to forgive. Maybe he's just stressed. Maybe he's trying his best. Maybe love means giving someone the benefit of the doubt, even when the evidence is stacked against them. Birkan senses her doubt and turns on the charm, his words smooth as silk. He promises this is the last time, that he's learned his lesson, that he'll never gamble again. He swears he loves her, that she's the only one who's ever believed in him, and Laura wants to believe it so badly it hurts. He pulls her close, tells her she's his lucky charm, and for a moment, she lets herself believe that love can fix what's broken. But then he's back on his phone, checking messages, laughing at something she can't see, and the cycle starts all over again. His apologies are always perfectly timed, his affection always just enough to keep her hoping, and Laura wonders if he even knows how much power he holds over her heart. The truth is, Laura's been here before. She remembers the day her ex-husband emptied their joint account and walked out, leaving her with nothing but a note and a mountain of trust issues. She remembers the shame, the anger, the way she promised herself she'd never let anyone take advantage of her again. But Birkan isn't her ex, she tells herself. He's different. He's been hurt too. Maybe that's why she feels drawn to him. Why she wants to save him. Why she keeps ignoring the voice in her head that says she deserves better. Every time she thinks about leaving, she remembers the way he looks at her. The way he says her name. And she wonders if she's strong enough to walk away from the only person who's made her feel seen in years. If you think Laura's about to wake up and walk out, think again. Because Birkan's next move is about to pull her even deeper into his web. Birkan leans back, arms crossed, eyes narrowed just enough to look wounded, but not guilty. He tells Laura she's overreacting, that everyone has problems, that if she trusted him, she wouldn't keep bringing up the past. He says fate brought them together, that their love is meant to survive anything, and if she keeps doubting him, she's only making things worse. Laura feels the ground shifting under her feet. The way his words twist her worries into accusations, making her feel like the villain for asking questions. He tells her she's too controlling, that she's suffocating him, and suddenly the conversation isn't about his gambling or his secrets, it's about her, her fears, her supposed inability to let go. Laura tries to explain, her voice trembling, that she's not trying to control him. She's just scared. She tells him about her ex-husband, about the betrayal that left her questioning everyone's motives, about the nights she lay awake, wondering what she did wrong. She says she wants to trust him, but every time he hides something, every time he laughs off her concerns, it feels like history repeating itself. She's not accusing, she's pleading, hoping he'll see how much this hurts her, how much she wants to believe in him. She lays her heart on the table, raw and exposed, praying he'll meet her halfway. But Birkan sidesteps her pain with practiced ease. He tells her she's living in the past, that she needs to move on if they're ever going to be happy. He promises he'll try to do better, but his words are vague, slippery, never quite landing anywhere solid. He says he loves her, that she's the best thing that's ever happened to him, but he never says how he'll change, never offers specifics, just empty reassurances and a soft smile that almost makes her forget why she's upset. Laura wants to believe him, wants to trust that love is enough, but deep down, she knows she's clinging to hope more than reality. If you think Birkan's done playing with Laura's emotions, you haven't seen anything yet, because his next move will blur the line between romance and manipulation in ways Laura never saw coming. The next morning, Laura wakes to the sound of her phone buzzing with a message from Birkan. He tells her to get ready, to wear something nice, and to meet him downstairs. Her heart pounds with a mix of excitement and dread, the memory of last night's argument still fresh, but hope flickering in her chest. She wants to believe this is the start of something new, that maybe Birkan means it this time, that maybe love can win out over doubt. When she steps outside, she finds him waiting with a grin and a bouquet of flowers, the kind she once mentioned in passing, and for a moment, the world feels lighter. He takes her hand, leads her to a waiting car, and tells her he has a surprise planned, something she'll never forget. The drive winds along the coast, the city giving way to sparkling water and the promise of escape. Laura tries to push away her worries, letting herself get swept up in the fantasy. When they arrive at the marina, she gasps. A sleek boat bobs at the dock, white and gleaming in the sun, and Birkan gestures for her to climb aboard. He's arranged everything: music, chilled wine, a spread of fruit and pastries, and as the boat glides out onto the water, Laura feels the tension in her shoulders melt away. For a while, it's easy to forget the arguments, the secrets, the gnawing fear that she's making a mistake. She laughs as Birkan spins her around the deck, the wind tangling her hair, the city shrinking behind them. He pours her a glass of wine, raises a toast to new beginnings, and for a moment, she lets herself believe in the magic. Birkan is in his element, charming and attentive, telling stories that make her laugh, brushing a strand of hair from her face, making her feel like the only woman in the world. He points out landmarks along the shore, shares childhood memories, and paints a picture of a future together that sounds almost too good to be true. Laura soaks it all in, her doubts fading with every mile they drift from shore. She wants to freeze this moment, to hold on to the feeling of being cherished, of being chosen, of being loved. She tells herself this is what she's been waiting for, that maybe the hard times are behind them, that maybe Birkan is finally ready to be the man she needs. But as the sun dips lower, painting the sky in gold and pink, a question nags at the back of her mind. She glances at the boat, the food, the wine, and wonders how Birkan managed to afford all this. He hasn't worked in months, and she knows his debts are piling up. She tries to push the thought away, but it keeps coming back, insistent and sharp. When she finally asks, her voice is soft, almost apologetic, as if she's afraid to break the spell. "How did you pay for all this?" she asks, searching his face for reassurance. Birkan's smile falters for just a second, but then he laughs, waving away her concern. He tells her not to worry, that he wanted to do something special, that she deserves to feel like a queen. But Laura presses, her curiosity outweighing her fear of ruining the moment. She asks again, more firmly this time, and Birkan sighs, looking out at the water. He admits, almost offhand, that he used his latest gambling winnings to pay for the boat, the food, the wine, everything. He says it like it's no big deal, like it's normal to fund romance with money won on a bet, and Laura feels the air go cold. She tries to hide her disappointment, but it's written all over her face. The magic of the day evaporates, replaced by a familiar ache in her chest. She wants to be angry, to demand answers, but Birkan is already spinning the story, telling her he did it for her, that he wanted to make her happy, that he's trying to change. He promises this is the last time, that he's done with gambling, that she's all he needs now. Laura wants to believe him, wants to hold on to the happiness she felt just moments ago, but the truth is impossible to ignore. Every grand gesture, every romantic surprise is built on a foundation of lies and risk. She looks at Birkan, searching for the man she fell in love with, but all she sees is someone who knows exactly how to keep her close, how to distract her from the truth with flowers and sunsets and empty promises. She wonders if he even understands the damage he's doing, or if he's so caught up in the thrill of the gamble that he can't see the pain in her eyes. The boat ride that started as a dream now feels like a trap, a gilded cage floating on borrowed time. If you think Laura's finally ready to walk away, think again, because Birkan's next move will test the limits of her forgiveness and reveal just how far she's willing to go for love that keeps breaking her heart. Laura sits at the edge of the bed that night, the city's glow flickering through the curtains, replaying every moment of the boat ride in her mind. She wants to be angry, wants to hold on to the disappointment that's been building inside her. But Birkan's words echo louder than her doubts. He's trying, she tells herself. He wouldn't have gone to all that trouble if he didn't care. Maybe this is what love looks like. Messy, complicated, full of mistakes and second chances. She remembers the way he looked at her across the water, the way he said she made him feel alive again, and she clings to those memories like a lifeline. If she leaves now, what if she's giving up on the one person who truly needs her? What if she's the only one who can help him change? Birkan senses her hesitation and leans into it. His voice soft, his eyes shining, with a sadness that feels almost too raw to be fake. He tells her about his past, about the injury that ended his football career, about the dreams that slipped through his fingers in a single moment. He describes the hospital room, the endless days staring at the ceiling, the text message from his first love that ended everything with a few cold words. He says he's never felt whole since then, that every bet, every risk, is a way to fill the emptiness left behind. He tells Laura she's the first person who's made him feel hope in years, that her love is the only thing keeping him from falling apart. His voice cracks, and Laura feels her own heart breaking for him, the pain in his story blurring the lines between victim and villain. She reaches for his hand, her anger dissolving into empathy. She tells herself that everyone has scars, that maybe Birkan's are just deeper than most. She wants to believe that love can heal, that her patience and understanding will be enough to pull him back from the edge. She remembers her own pain, the betrayal that left her doubting everyone's intentions, and wonders if Birkan is just as lost as she once was. Maybe that's why she feels so drawn to him. why she keeps giving him chance after chance, why she can't bring herself to walk away even when every instinct tells her to run. She tells herself that if she's strong enough, if she loves him enough, he'll finally see what he has and choose her over the thrill of the next gamble. Birkan wipes away a tear, squeezing her hand, and promises again that he'll change. He says he wants to be better for her, that he's tired of hurting the people he loves. Laura nods, swallowing her doubts, letting his words wash over her like a balm. She tells herself this time will be different, that she'll set boundaries, that she'll help him find a way out. She imagines a future where the debts are paid, the lies are over, and they can finally be happy. She pictures introducing him to her family, building a life together, proving everyone wrong. The hope is intoxicating, drowning out the fear that she's setting herself up for heartbreak all over again. But as the days pass, the cycle repeats. Birkan is attentive, affectionate, full of promises and plans, but Laura notices the little things. The way he avoids talking about money, the way he gets defensive when she asks about his day, the way he disappears for hours with no explanation. She tells herself not to worry, not to nag, not to push him away with her doubts. She wants to trust him, wants to believe that love is enough, but the anxiety gnaws at her, a constant reminder that something isn't right. She finds herself making excuses for him to her friends, brushing off their concerns, insisting that they don't understand what they have together. She's so busy defending him that she doesn't notice how much of herself she's losing in the process. One night, after another argument about money, Birkan pulls her close and whispers that he's scared too. He says he's never loved anyone like this, that the thought of losing her terrifies him. Laura melts, her anger forgotten, her resolve crumbling. She tells herself that fear is a sign of love, that maybe they're both just scared of getting hurt. She promises herself that she'll be patient, that she'll give him time, that she won't let her past ruin their future. She clings to the hope that things will get better, that Birkan will finally keep his promises, that love will win in the end. If you think Laura's about to break free from this cycle, you're not seeing how deep she's in. Because Birkan's next move will blur the line between devotion and self-destruction, and Laura's about to find out how much she's willing to sacrifice for a love that keeps asking for more. Laura's phone lights up with messages from home, her best friend's name flashing across the screen again and again. The texts are a mix of worry and frustration, each one a lifeline she's not sure she wants to grab. Are you okay? Call me, please. You don't have to stay if you're not happy. Laura scrolls through them, her thumb hovering over the reply button, but she can't bring herself to answer. She knows what they'll say. She knows the questions, the warnings, the gentle reminders that she deserves better. She's heard it all before, and every time, she finds herself defending Birkan, painting him in softer colors, insisting that they don't see the side of him she does. She tells them he's trying, that he's been through a lot, that love isn't always easy. She says they're working on things, that every couple has problems, that they just need time. The words feel hollow, even to her, but she clings to them because the alternative, admitting they're right, hurts too much. Her mother's voice is softer, more cautious, but the concern is unmistakable. On a video call, Laura tries to sound upbeat, describing the boat ride, the flowers, the way Birkan makes her feel special. Her mother listens, nodding, but Laura can see the worry in her eyes, the way she hesitates before asking about the money, about Birkan's job, about the future. Laura dodges the questions, changing the subject, laughing off the concerns. She tells herself she's protecting her family from worry, but deep down, she knows she's protecting herself from the truth. Every call ends with her mother saying, "Just be careful, honey," and Laura promising she will, even as she feels herself slipping further away from the people who know her best. Meanwhile, the outside world is watching. Clips of Laura and Birkan's story circulate online, sparking debates in comment sections and fan groups. Some viewers are sympathetic, rooting for Laura to find happiness, while others are blunt, calling out every red flag, every excuse, every moment she looks the other way. She deserves better, one comment reads, racking up likes. He's using her, another says, tagging friends who agree. There are memes, reaction videos, even threads dissecting Birkan's every move, comparing him to other infamous reality TV heartbreakers. Laura tries not to look, but curiosity gets the better of her. She scrolls through the posts, her stomach twisting as strangers pick apart her choices, her relationship, her self-worth. Some messages sting, others make her laugh, but all of them remind her that her life is no longer private, that every mistake is up for public consumption. Birkan, on the other hand, hates the attention. He complains about the cameras, the fans, the way everyone seems to have an opinion about their lives. He tells Laura not to listen to the haters, not to let outsiders ruin what they have. He says their love is nobody's business but their own, that people are jealous, that they don't understand what it's like to be in the spotlight. At first, Laura agrees, grateful for the excuse to tune out the noise. But over time, Birkan's words become rules. He asks her to stop sharing details with her friends, to keep their problems private, to trust him instead of the people who've known her for years. He gets annoyed when she spends too long on the phone, when she laughs at a message from her sister, when she mentions something she read online. He says he just wants to protect their relationship, but Laura starts to feel the walls closing in. The isolation is subtle at first. Birkan suggests they spend more time together, just the two of them. He plans outings that keep her busy, fills her days with distractions, makes her feel guilty for wanting space. He tells her she's all he needs, that nobody else matters, that their love is enough. Laura wants to believe him, wants to feel chosen, but she misses her friends, her family, the sense of belonging she used to have. She starts to notice how small her world has become, how much of her life revolves around Birkan's moods, his needs, his approval. She tells herself it's normal, that every relationship goes through phases, but the loneliness creeps in, quiet and persistent. One night, after a tense dinner where Birkan bristles at a text from Laura's best friend, he accuses her of not being present, of caring more about what other people think than about him. Laura tries to explain that she needs her support system, that she can love him and still need her friends, but Birkan shuts down, retreating into silence. The next day, he's back to being sweet, apologizing for overreacting, promising to do better. Laura forgives him, as always, but the pattern is impossible to ignore. She finds herself second-guessing every message, every call, every laugh that isn't shared with him. She wonders when she started apologizing for having a life outside their relationship. The pressure builds as the outside world grows louder. Fans speculate about breakups, about secret messages, about what's happening behind closed doors. Laura feels exposed, judged, misunderstood. She wants to set the record straight, to tell her side of the story, but Birkan warns her not to engage, not to give the trolls what they want. He says they're stronger together, that nobody else matters, but Laura can't shake the feeling that she's losing herself in the process. She starts to wonder if love should feel this lonely, if being chosen is worth being cut off from everyone else. If you think Laura's friends and family are about to give up, you're wrong. Because the next confrontation will force Laura to choose between the life she's built with Birkan and the people who refuse to let her disappear without a fight. Laura stands at the window, watching the city lights flicker in the distance, her reflection barely visible in the glass. The room behind her is silent except for the faint hum of traffic and the echo of her own thoughts. She's never felt so alone, not even after her ex-husband left, not even on the nights she cried herself to sleep, wondering what she did wrong. Now, every memory with Birkan feels like a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit. Every sweet moment shadowed by doubt. She thinks about the boat ride, the flowers, the promises whispered in the dark, and wonders how much of it was real and how much was just another gamble. Her phone buzzes with another message from her best friend, a simple "I'm here if you need me," and Laura's eyes fill with tears she refuses to let fall. She knows she can't keep living like this, caught between the hope that Birkan will change and the fear that he never will. Birkan senses the shift, the way Laura pulls away, the way her laughter doesn't reach her eyes anymore. He tries to win her back with another grand gesture, booking a rooftop dinner under the stars, candles flickering in the breeze, music playing softly in the background. He tells her he's sorry, that he knows he's made mistakes, that he's scared too. He promises, again, that he'll quit gambling, that he'll get a job, that he'll be the man she deserves. He says he can't imagine his life without her, that she's his everything, that he'll do whatever it takes to make things right. For a moment, Laura wants to believe him. She wants to believe that love is enough, that people can change, that the story isn't over yet. She lets him hold her hand, lets him kiss her forehead, lets herself dream of a future where the pain is just a memory. But as the night wears on, the doubts creep back in. Laura listens to Birkan's promises, but she's heard them all before. She remembers every time he said he'd change, every time he swore this was the last time, every time she forgave him because she wanted to believe. She thinks about the friends she's pushed away, the family she's kept at arm's length, the version of herself she barely recognizes anymore. She wonders when she started measuring her worth by someone else's love, when she started believing that being chosen was the same as being cherished. She looks at Birkan, really looks at him, and sees the fear in his eyes, the desperation, the need to keep her close, no matter the cost. Laura's mind races with questions she can't answer. Is love supposed to hurt this much? Is forgiveness the same as acceptance? Can someone truly change? Or is she chasing a dream that will always be just out of reach? She thinks about the life she could have, the freedom, the peace, the chance to start over. She thinks about the risk, the loneliness, the fear of making the wrong choice. She wonders if she's strong enough to walk away, or if she's destined to repeat the same mistakes, over and over, until there's nothing left of her but regret. Birkan senses her hesitation and pulls out all the stops, telling her stories about their future, about the places they'll go, the memories they'll make, the life they'll build together. He paints a picture so vivid, so full of hope, that Laura almost believes it's possible. He tells her he loves her, that he needs her, that he can't do this without her. He begs her to stay, to give him one more chance, to believe in him the way she always has. Laura's heart aches with the weight of his words, the sincerity in his voice, the tears in his eyes. She wants to say yes, to let herself fall back into the comfort of his arms, to pretend that love is enough to fix what's broken. But something inside her shifts. She remembers the girl she used to be, the dreams she had before love became a battlefield, the strength she found in surviving heartbreak. She thinks about the people who love her, the friends who refuse to give up, the family who waits for her to come home. She realizes that loving someone shouldn't mean losing yourself, that forgiveness shouldn't mean forgetting your own needs. She looks at Birkan, sees the man she fell in love with, and the man who keeps breaking her heart, and knows she can't have both. The night ends with Laura standing at the crossroads, her heart pounding in her chest, her mind racing with possibilities. She knows the choice she makes now will shape the rest of her life, that there's no going back once she decides. She takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of every promise, every lie, every moment that brought her here. She knows what she has to do, even if it breaks her heart. If you think Laura's story ends here, you're not ready for what comes next, because the fallout from her decision will shake everything she thought she knew about love, loyalty, and the price of holding on too long. The morning after the rooftop dinner, the air in the apartment feels heavy, every sound amplified by the silence between Laura and Birkan. The plates from last night's meal sit untouched on the counter, candles burned down to stubs, the scent of roses lingering like a memory that refuses to fade. Laura moves quietly, packing her things with trembling hands, her mind replaying every word, every promise, every tearful plea from the night before. She's exhausted, her heart raw, but there's a strange clarity in her chest, a sense that, for the first time in a long time, she's choosing herself. Birkan watches her from the doorway, his face a mask of disbelief and desperation, as if he never truly believed she would leave. He tries one last time, his voice cracking, asking her to stay, to forgive, to remember the good times. Laura pauses, her suitcase half-zipped, and looks at him with eyes that have seen too much. She tells him she loves him, but she can't keep loving someone who refuses to love himself enough to change. The words hang in the air, final and unyielding, and Birkan's shoulders slump as the reality settles in. As Laura steps out into the hallway, the weight of her decision presses down, but there's a lightness too, a sense of relief, of possibility, of hope. She calls her mother, her voice shaking, and hears the relief on the other end of the line. She texts her best friend, who replies in all caps, "Proud of you." The support is overwhelming, a reminder that she's not alone, that there's a world waiting for her beyond the walls of this apartment, beyond the cycle of hope and heartbreak. Laura takes a cab to the airport, watching the city blur past the window, her mind drifting between memories and dreams. She thinks about the girl she was when she first met Birkan. Hopeful, open, willing to believe in fairy tales. She thinks about the woman she is now, wiser, scarred, but stronger for having survived. She wonders if she's learned her lesson, if she'll recognize the red flags next time, if she'll trust herself enough to walk away before the damage is done. Back in the apartment, Birkan paces the floor, replaying the confrontation in his mind. He scrolls through old photos, rereads Laura's messages, searching for the moment things started to unravel. He tells himself he'll change, that this time he means it, that losing Laura is the wake-up call he needed. He posts a cryptic message on social media, something about second chances and learning from mistakes, fishing for sympathy, for validation, for someone to tell him he's not the villain in this story. Some fans rally behind him, others call him out, but Birkan's focus is already shifting. He messages Laura, promising again to get help, to pay off his debts, to become the man she always believed he could be. But Laura doesn't reply. She's done waiting for apologies, done hoping for change that never comes. She's moving forward, one step at a time, determined to break the cycle for good. In the weeks that follow, Laura rebuilds her life piece by piece. She reconnects with friends, spends time with family, starts therapy to untangle the knots left behind by years of loving the wrong person. She journals her thoughts, her fears, her hopes for the future, determined not to lose herself again. She reads the comments online, some supportive, some cruel, but she learns to filter out the noise, to focus on her own voice, her own truth. She wonders if Birkan will ever change, if he'll ever understand the damage he's done. But she knows it's not her responsibility to save him. She can only save herself. Birkan, meanwhile, slips back into old habits. He makes a show of self-improvement, posting photos at the gym, sharing inspirational quotes, but those closest to him see the cracks. He's still chasing quick fixes, still blaming bad luck, still looking for someone else to fill the void. He dates casually, but nothing sticks. Every new connection is haunted by the ghost of what he lost, by the knowledge that he pushed away the one person who truly cared. He tells himself he'll do better next time, but the cycle repeats, each round leaving him a little more hollow, a little more desperate. Laura's story becomes a cautionary tale, a reminder that love without trust is a losing bet, that hope can be a trap as much as a lifeline. She shares her experience with others, warning them not to ignore the signs, not to settle for less than they deserve. She's honest about her mistakes, her regrets, but she refuses to let them define her. She's moving forward, eyes open, heart guarded but not closed. She knows healing isn't linear, that some days will be harder than others, but she's determined to keep going, to keep choosing herself, no matter how tempting it is to look back. And as the credits roll on this chapter, one question lingers in the air. Will Birkan ever break free from his own cycle? Or is he destined to repeat the same mistakes, losing everyone who tries to love him along the way? Laura's journey isn't over, and neither is his. If you want to see what happens when the past comes knocking and new temptations threaten to pull them both back in, you won't want to miss what's coming next.